And I just accepted and I said, like, God, if you want me to die right now, I'm ready, like, whatever. I just accepted.
Almost a year after escaping the war in Ukraine, thousands of people like Olga are rebuilding their lives in the U.S. with painful reminders of a life left behind. Snow is falling in lower elevations, so we're helping you prepare to hit the roads, especially if you plan on heading to the mountains. And unearthing a painful time in history, we introduce you to a man making sure enslaved members of his family are being remembered as people, not property. Let's get to the point. Well, we've been talking about snow and lower elevations for days, and guess what? It's finally here. So this is a live look in Colfax right now, where I-80 was shut down during this storm. Snow is expected well into the foothills and below 1,000 feet. We are going to get to look at that in just a second with all the weather coming into our area with Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods, but that's coming up a little bit later in our show. Because tonight we are starting with a story of resilience. Tomorrow marks 1 year since Russia invaded Ukraine, and millions have escaped their cities, leaving their entire lives behind. So tonight I want to introduce you to Olga, because she's been living in the Sacramento area after leaving Ukraine, where her parents are still living there right now. And she shares the moment that she knew her life would never be the same.
I had my own apartment. I had an awesome job. I had my church. I had my ministry. I had a bunch of friends.
Do you remember the day that the war actually started?
I was sleeping. It was in the morning. I received a call from one of my friends and she was freaking out. And after talking to her, I just had my own time, just praying. And at that moment, actually, I was really calm. I didn't freak out anything, and I just accepted and I said, like, God, if you want me to die right now, I'm ready, like, whatever. I just accepted.
Did you call your family? And
they actually called me because they start freaking out that I'm by myself there, and they're like, I don't have a car, I don't have anything to escape, so they just like start calling like, you need to come here, you need to do something. The only way for me to leave was by train, and there was like lots of people, and I saw this like fear in people's eyes, like when a siren is going on, all of this, and they're like running any directions. It took me like 3 trains and almost like 38 hours to come to my parents by train, because we had to, like, the train had to stop several times because of all the bombing, and we had to turn all our lights, we had to turn our cell phones, we had to turn like everything.
And so when you finally get to your parents, what was that moment like for you?
Oh, it was lots of cries and like happy to see each one another, because they haven't seen me like for a year maybe. That was a happy time, and we stayed together in our home, and we invited other just random people, we didn't know them, refugees from Kharkiv, from Dnipropetrovsk, so those cities that had been bombed, we invited them to our house.
When did you decide that you wanted to leave Ukraine?
Actually, God made me to go. It was a sudden decision. My granny, she came to me and she was like, oh, Olga, I saw that in America everyone is welcoming Ukrainians, you should go. I'm like, Granny, come on, who needs us there? Like, relax. And she went, and suddenly I received this, like, you have to go. And my best friend, she was in Budapest at that time. And I was like, okay, let's go. I mean, it was like that. So 1 week, we like packed some stuff. She was in Budapest. I came to her and we got our ticket to Mexico. And yeah, we fly together to Mexico. And actually the flight was on my birthday. So the border crossing was really easy. They brought us there. We just like came, and the US government was giving us humanitarian parole for 1 year. We had our shower, some sleep time, and then they got a bus to Sacramento.
And what's it been like adjusting to Sacramento life?
Oh, this one is hard. I believe because when you're planning to move to US, it's easier. You're thinking about it, you're like planning to do that, you're preparing yourself in your mind. When it's sudden like that, not because you want, but because you have to, it's much harder, because you really miss your life there. At the same time, I'm really grateful that this country accepted me. Right now, it's really tough in Ukraine. There is no jobs, there are no like safe places at all. Lots of people lost everything, and they really need a lot. And our country is fighting for freedom.
I want to talk about your parents, because they are still back in Ukraine. Yeah. Why did they choose to stay?
My dad can't leave because he's 56 and all the men under the age of 60 cannot leave Ukraine. So officially he can't leave, and my mom doesn't want to leave without him. The second one, but my dad, he was the one telling me, yeah, sure, you should go. And one time I'm gonna come to you.
And for people who may not understand some of the experiences that you had to go through, what do you want them to know about what it is to be Ukrainian and go through this experience?
It's hard to be Ukrainian, but I would say that Ukrainians are really strong. They're really smart and really strong people. And whatever everyone in Ukraine went through, it's gonna have huge impact on our kids. It's gonna have huge impact on all our hearts. And people who hear and see Ukrainians, I would advise to have compassion and to be willing to help, not just like to ignore. I believe that Ukraine is thinking and saying freedom from every country, not allowing such crazy people, crazy Putin, to push on the world. That's what Ukraine, like, even looking at the map, Ukraine is so small and it's standing against such a huge country, right?
Olga said another thing that stuck with me when I sat down with her. She said, it's hard accepting that you are no one here. She said that she feels like her education, her work experience, her line of credit, I mean, everything that she has worked so hard for back home, that it just didn't matter anymore. But she also said that she does have a chance to rebuild something new. She's working to find a job that she loves, and she's also working very closely with a church. This church is called Spring of Life. It's in Orangevale, and they really have helped her find a sense of community and resources. Their Parasolka program supports immigrants and refugees with resources and sponsors. You can find out how to help. All you have to do is go to abc10.com/tothepoint and go to the links mentioned page. And tomorrow we will introduce you to another family who escaped the war in Ukraine. I sat down with the mother and daughter who hid in their basement for days when Russia began to invade. All right, after the break, the man accused of sexually assaulting students at Sacramento State University has finally been caught. Why students say that this isn't enough to keep them safe. The man accused of sexually assaulting multiple students at Sacramento State University has finally been arrested. So this is Nida Mohammed Niazi. He's connected to 2 assaults from last year, and he is not a student. He left the U.S. after law enforcement started searching for him, and the FBI and Interpol tracked him down in Germany. He's accused of 2 out of the 4 reported assaults at the university last summer and fall. And about 4 months ago, students were calling for more surveillance, lighting, and security to keep them safe after that string of assaults. At a university forum, students told us that there were a lot more assaults that went underreported. We caught up with the organizer of that forum today.
We have a lot of activities planned to help improve, I guess, the knowledge of our students and faculty on what they can do in terms of bystander intervention, what consent even means. And, you know, we know that there are things that the university has been working on improving lighting, hiring social workers.
There were originally suspicions that Niazi could be connected to other assaults, in particular one at San Jose State campus. The Sacramento Sheriff's Office says they don't know if that's connected at this time. After the break, a local man is making sure his enslaved ancestors are being remembered as people, not property. All right, another winter storm is here. The snow is falling at lower elevations this time, but right now we are focused on I-80 at Colfax. Alicia Machado is live where an hours-long closure continues tonight. Alicia, what do we know so far?
Good evening. Well, Alex, some folks have been waiting out here for upwards of 3 or 4 hours due to this closure. The road has been closed right now for several hours, but some choosing to wait it out for a chance to get out to the snow for the weekend for some skiing and sledding. Caltrans tells me they do not have an estimated time for reopening right now. I-80 has been closed since at least 1:45 this afternoon. Caltrans is turning around traffic in both directions on 80 I-80 due to spinouts. It might not look like much from down here in Colfax, but up at the higher elevations, the conditions are dangerous. Roads covered in snow that are not safe to travel on. Now, we spoke with the family earlier about what it's been like to have to wait it out.
We're just going to see, maybe stick around for an hour, see what it does, and might have to go up tomorrow.
Now, we have seen dozens of cars lining the side of the road and the parking lots of gas stations and restaurants just off of the exit here in Colfax. For those who are thinking of coming out to this area, Caltrans says tomorrow is not a good time to travel due to weather conditions that they're expecting. They say Saturday or Sunday's storm is expected to be weaker, so that might be a better time. But Alex, we have seen cars that just continue to turn around here tonight, some that were optimistic earlier, but just choosing to turn around now. We will have an update for you tonight on Late News Tonight at 11.
All right, Alicia, thank you so much. Again, listen to officials, heed the warnings. All right, let's get over to Monica. How are the long-term conditions? I mean, how is this going to last?
Alicia was right about that opportunity right around Saturday night through Sunday morning. That's going to be our window of opportunity to get some mountain travel in. Right now, we still have more moisture working its way in from the Pacific, and that means we're still in for some rain, which will be moderate to heavy at times, and more snow as well. Placerville right now, snow. Pollock Pines, Georgetown, Forest Hill, moving all the way down the hill into almost Auburn, Cameron Park. That's what we're looking at for tonight. Some spotty snow showers continue for much of the mother lode here, although the moisture is a little bit on the thin side. Snow continues to fall through the Tahoe Basin along 80 and 50, and we're going to see the possibility of some snow as well in the back of hills. Avalanche watch in effect through Sunday morning, so it's going to be really dicey through the high country. Even if you want to get up there and enjoy the opportunity for that fresh powder, it's going to be very dangerous. Winter weather advisory in place until 10 a.m. on Saturday, and our winter storm warning continues through noon tomorrow with that snow below 1,000 feet. Then we get into some of the winds that will impact us for tonight with our wind advisory in effect through midday tomorrow. Winds pick up overnight tonight, so may hear some tree branches kicking up against the windows overnight tonight, and then by tomorrow afternoon things start to quiet down. But that morning commute is going to be rocking, especially with the wind and rain that we're going to have to contend with, as well as some of that low snow. There's the culprit right there, that big low coming in from the north of us. It is pulling in a tremendous amount of cold air, and with it some moisture. Temperatures at this hour have only dropped into the 40s, although we're sitting at 32 for Placerville, teens for the Sierra. But this is how much more rain is coming in tonight through early tomorrow, about an inch or so for the valley. And as far as that Sierra snow, another 1 to 2 feet of snow. That on top of almost a foot to a foot and a half that we've already received for today. As far as the rain and the snow, there's the back of hills that may get some snow showers early tomorrow morning. The snow coming down the hill to almost Cameron Park, almost into Loomis, but Auburn, Placerville, Pollock Pines, Forest Hill, we're in on the action. Then we see spotty showers through the day tomorrow. Get another punch of some cold air coming in, so could still see some periods of those low snow levels all the way through Saturday morning before things finally wind down Saturday late afternoon through Sunday. And that's going to be our biggest window of best travel into the high country with less delays. And then we're right back at it by Sunday evening. Snow level about 2,000 to 3,000 feet, and it's a 1-2 punch. We have 2 more storm systems to get through, so another ½ an inch to 2 inches of rain for the valley, 1 to 6 inches of mix for the lower Sierra upper foothills, and 4 to 6 feet of snow for the Sierra. 10-day forecast, you can see it here. We've got that next weather system on the way by Sunday evening through early next week. After that, Alex, we get a better opportunity for dry weather.
All right, Monica, thank you. This Black History Month, we are sharing more stories that impact Black people and their communities. Tonight, our race and culture reporter, Candace Redd, is looking into the history of slave deeds. A Dixon man is honoring his ancestors to be remembered as people, not property.
At Gerald Gordon's home in Dixon, there's a reminder of the dark past framed on the wall.
You got to know where you came from and who you are.
As a genealogist, Gordon spends hours each day tracing his African American roots.
Everything that I have found out now is through genealogy through talking to relatives, social media, that type of thing.
After digging through old family papers, Gordon says he learned about his great-great-grandfather, Peter Hughes.
I knew that he was born in South Carolina.
Gordon says the biggest turning point was getting a copy of this document from the Union County Courthouse in South Carolina. It is a slave deed dated August 6, 1838.
It says, State of South Carolina, known to all men.
Slave deeds are property deeds registered with county courts and registers of deeds that contain information about enslaved people.
That I, Thomas Hughes, the slave owner.
This deed describes how a slave owner, Thomas Hughes, gifted his daughter, Mary L. Dunn, a black enslaved family. It lists Gordon's ancestors by name.
Peter, his wife Sal, together with all their children, to have and hold all said Negroes unto the said Mary L. Dunn forever. And when I read that word forever, that really, I said forever. That means until the day they die.
During the slavery era in America,
because the enslaver has to prove that they have a legal standing in the context of owning another human being.
Enslaved people were property by law.
It erases the humanity of masses of individuals who, it is estimated, provided 410 billion hours of labor, free labor, to the building of the United States.
Slave owners used handwritten receipts to carefully document the selling, buying, renting, or gifting of enslaved people. Deeds, like a bill of sale, transferred ownership of the so-called property from one person to the next. Through fugitive slave laws, free states like California captured and re-enslaved black people living in freedom.
When California enters the Union in 1850, California is a free state. So individuals could come to California to be free, but potentially also be brought back into bondage because a bill of sale said somebody owned this individual, and that was binding.
Some deeds provided a description of the enslaved person.
Complexion, some aspect of their phenotypical expression, nose, sometimes eyebrows, tone or color of skin, and physicality and gender. The bill of sale, like other documentations and records of enslavement, are very important for genealogists, and they're also important for anyone who wants to know the true story of the United States of America.
This is a picture of gravestone of Peter Hughes. That's my grandmother. I feel good because I found my family.
Gordon is using this deed to honor his ancestors.
Every morning I wake up, I walk out here in my living room, and I see that deed and I say, good morning, family. Say, good morning.
Giving life and dignity to people documented as property.
I told my children as much as I could about our family. Maybe that's one thing my dad and mom didn't do for us, because when they were growing up, it was very painful. This is Black History Month. I hope everyone will go out and try to find their people so they can share their story.
And I also want to mention Gerald's great-great-grandfather, Peter Hughes. He gained freedom. Hughes became a pastor and founded the first Black church in Union County, South Carolina, that is still standing today. We'll be right back after this. Many Black men and women are making big impacts in our communities despite facing racial disparities in the workforce. And that's the story that we're working on for tomorrow.
Hearing a lot of the Hispanic guys on site, they said to themselves that they don't hire African-American men.
I would go to court and they would either assume, even though I'm wearing a full suit, professionally dressed, was I a defendant or was I a secretary?
We're taking a look at Black professionals breaking through in fields where representation is lacking. And by the way, just so you know, you can keep up with this story and all the other stories that we're working on by joining our new To The Point text group. All you have to do is just scan the QR code on your screen using the camera app on your smartphone. It'll write you up a quick text that just says that you'd like to join the text group. All you have to do is just hit send, and we'll keep you in the loop. And you can always share story ideas with us, too. We love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Thursday, which means it's Friday Eve, so I'll see you here tomorrow night on Friday.